Well, folks, it happened. Top Shot Score is here, and it's a big change. It's a big, big change. So, for those of you who are new to the channel, for those of you who are new to Top Shot, and for those of you not yet on Top Shot, what is Top Shot Score and why does it matter? Well, for a year we had something called Collector Score, and we thought that was going to stay mostly in its present form, but this was a dramatic shift. It didn't just change the equation, it changed the value and the purpose of the system. So for a year we had Collector Score, and Collector Score was a representation of your collection with weights on certain moments for being more special. The more moments you had, the more complete sets you had, the closer you got to being able to have a shot at the rare and legendary packs. So your Collector Score number would dictate whether you had a chance to be in certain queues, whether you had more chances to get a rare or legendary pack based on priority queues. All those things are important. Obviously, we all want to get a cool rare or legendary moment, and certainly with the Magic Johnson anthology that just dropped, you know, if we need a Collector Score for that, we would certainly all be jumping to get some. But now that we need Top Shot Score, it's a different ballgame. Anyway, I'll get to that in a second. So, Collector Score was great in the sense that it stabilized the floor. For example, Series 2 Commons had a base score of 12 points, but if you had a full team set, you could add a certain multiplier to that to make the most affordable path to those benchmarks of getting into the most priority queues, getting the most opportunities at rare and legendary packs. So that was good, and so you would buy Series 2 Commons to get yourself eligible faster for those rare and legendary queues. And you would, if there were rare and legendary challenges, you would get the rare and legendary moments. There would be a challenge immediately thereafter, and you'd be able to sell at a premium because there would be a different tier of collector that would be trying to get those rare and legendary moments for their challenges and the ones that they wanted to do. So, because there was a time, as anyone who's on Top Shot knows, because there's a time constraint on challenges, it makes it prudent to buy, and it creates that buy pressure that makes it easier to sell. So, collectors of the floor and of common moments were rewarded, and collectors of rare and legendary moments were rewarded, and that was good. But it presents a little bit of an interesting challenge in terms of new users who might want to be eligible for rare and legendary moments. And it seems as though the new standard is to have, this wasn't always the case, I would say maybe in January or December was the last time, there was a minimum Collector Score gate for rare and legendary packs. That seemingly does not exist anymore, and under the new system. It's true for this Magic Johnson anthology, there will be a general queue with 400 packs, and the minimum Collector Score to enter is, or the minimum Top Shot Score to enter is 0. It just makes growth a bit easier. You know, we don't necessarily want to see everyone trying to get the scarcest moments because we know that they can't. You know, we want to see everybody get a scarce moment eventually, but we do want to see the most dedicated collectors rewarded. That is part of the mantra, the philosophy behind Top Shot, that the more you collect, the more you can earn. And I think that's a very sound one because it rewards people and it creates an upward momentum as opposed to a downward trend, a market trend. So it was good. It worked, especially in Series 2. And then what happened was there was a blended pack trial. For those of you who know, for those of you who don't know, blended packs are packs where the highest tier moments, or in some cases the lower tier moments, aren't necessarily fixed in terms of mint edition or scarcity, and you would have odds at certain tiers. For example, you might have, if you know, the price would be uniform throughout. You'd buy for either $19 for the standard version or $49 for the elite version, and you would get say like a 1% chance at a legendary in that pack, in that same pack, or a 2% chance, or a 30% chance at a rare, or a 20% chance at a rare. You know, the more you paid, the better your chances were, and the more chances you got. Controversial to say the least, and it definitely de-emphasized Collector Score, and I think that's when Top Shot knew they had a problem. They had to adjust for that because they wanted to provide those opportunities, but it took so much of the emphasis away from that upward collector score momentum. And to be fair, collector score definitely emphasized collecting what you don't love. I certainly collected a lot of stacks of Top Shot moments that I didn't need. You know, I bought $6 NBA playoff moments that I didn't need. And it's not like I don't love my $6 NBA playoffs, 2021 NBA playoffs Suns moments. I love them. They're great. I love, you know, I want all the playoffs moments my Suns ever did. But it wasn't the most fun I could have had. And it didn't allow me to collect some of the other things I wanted. So they solved for all that. They saw all that. They collected the data. It was very controversial to see the blended trip pack happening. It definitely, I would absolutely say, it destabilized the market. But they came up with something. They came up with Top Shot Score. And what is Top Shot Score? Well, it's a different formula. It's also a different emphasis. It's also a different focus, and it's a different way of doing this altogether. So the base score is your purchase price, either your purchase price times 10 or the average sale price at the time you collected it, either after May 11th or prior to May 11th. There is a historical average sale price that will be used for each edition, but whichever is greater of the two, the average sale price on the day in question, or historically prior to May 11th, or your purchase price on the day in question. So there are different ways of going into Top Shot Score and analyzing it and using it for your collection to optimize everything that you're doing on the platform, but I'll save that for another video. That's more of a breakdown that I'll save for another time. So essentially there's that. There's the early adopter bonus, which is a formula that we don't even know, but it's not moving. It's a fixed number, and it seemingly applies based on this Magic Johnson anthology we just saw get announced. It seemingly applies for drops in particular. It is not added to your Top Shot Score for any, you know, just on a regular basis. It's a specific instances where that early adopter bonus is used. Apparently, it will be in effect until the end of Series 4, which we don't actually know when that'll be. Possibly a full calendar year was mentioned, but we don't really know. It'll be useful somehow, but it gives a little bit of a cushion for anyone who collected earlier into Series 3 or Series 2 that was working off of the old collector score formula. It gives them a little bit of a cushion to do some other things. You know, whatever, you know, mine, for example, is 60,000. What does that mean? I don't know. Is it a time factor? Is it a money factor? I don't know what the combination is. The formula wasn't really explained, but suffice it to say, it is what it is, and it provides a little bit of a cushion for people to make that transition. Also, if you overpaid, so if the value of a moment is $2, but you paid $9 for it during a flash challenge, you can then keep the moment. And you effectively have a 4.5 times, well, not 4.5 times, 45x multiplier, which we don't totally know how that'll be used yet, but it seems that is definitely something worth considering, to have that 90 or 900, or is it 900? No, 90. It is 90. To have that 90 instead of the $2 trade ticket. I mean, if you went and bought a trade ticket on the marketplace, it would be worth 20. Or whatever the average sale price is at that moment. And if you, I mean, so there's a very small chance that anything you get would give you that multiplier for that value. So it makes more sense to hold the 90 instead of selling for the $2, because there are less and less opportunities to get that multiplier unless you plan it that way. I mean, there's very few things on the marketplace that are 2 and 3x, let alone 20 and 30x, let alone 45x. So that is a very advantageous way to use your Top Shot Score. And there's another wrinkle, obviously, that those of you who know already know, which is that starting with Top Shot Score, there is a new locking feature. Now, this is obviously controversial, a little complicated, but essentially the leaderboards that we've been working off for the last since late November, I want to say, so 6 months, 5 months, something like that. Those are no longer the function of leaderboards. The leaderboards have taken on a new functional capacity. in the sense that they no longer measure what you've collected. They now measure what you're going to be able to lock. You're going to be able to lock your moments so that you cannot list them, delist them. I haven't seen it yet. It doesn't exist yet. But there are going to be these new leaderboards, and these new leaderboards are going to allow you to lock your moments, and in so doing, you will receive a reward, likely for a player or for a team. So we all have to be sort of judicious about how we lock, because that'll be apparently for an extended period of time, quote unquote. But very exciting. So you get to put your stacks, your overpays, your rare moments, your legendary moments to good use. You know, I don't know if you have to be in a certain tier for each leaderboard. Apparently the mock-ups, the early mock-ups are going to come soon, and then there will be, I guess, a finalized edition by the end of summer. I believe that's what Jacob said. So really looking forward to that. Really looking forward to, I mean, if you've been passively holding for a year and you've been getting nothing from it, well, now you don't have to do that anymore. Primary drawback of Top Shot Score is that you no longer get any sort of bonus for holding sets. Now, you do, of course, still get airdrops, which didn't exist when Collector Score was first introduced. So you still have that. You still have the usefulness for any challenge that your set gives you. So teams are a lot more limited in the players that you have, but now teams have that okay, you can lock for teams, or you can hold for sets and for challenges and for other things, because there's just a wider variety of players in a team, in a set, especially a base set or another common set where you get all these different sorts of players. So depending on how you want to play that, there's a lot of opportunities for set collectors and now for team collectors. And if you just want to collect your team, now you can go straight in and just collect your team and lock and keep the rewards in your team or your player, and lock and keep the rewards and sell them and do whatever you want to do, without ever having to worry about getting a pack queue for growth or doing a challenge. If you don't like the volatility of challenges, you can just collect your team, lock, and repeat. That is an amazing thing, because I was saying for the longest time how team collectors, people who just want to collect their team, are not being emphasized enough. And in this case, it seems we have just that, a balance between team collecting and set collecting. So very positive on that note. I know some people are not happy with the transition. It doesn't work for everyone. Some people were building their leaderboards on the old model to now find out that those leaderboards are essentially obsolete. The good news is they all reset. All of your races for Toronto or Orlando or Charlotte or Minnesota, whatever, they now reset to 0. You are in a dead heat now with everyone, including the top of the top. That the size of your collection no longer determines your position on the leaderboard, so at this moment no one has an advantage, which is actually pretty cool. But the other part of it is that anyone will be eligible for any of the team or player leaderboards. So I wonder what kind of an effect that'll have in terms of the top leaderboard status and how many of the whales will be able to infiltrate that. We shall see. I don't know at this point. We haven't seen any of the early tests or anything. But the potential, I guess in conclusion, the potential for people to not dump their overpays as much. If you're participating in a challenge and you buy an inflated price, it now makes more sense to hold your inflated price than it does to sell at a lower price. This will lead to a lot less dumping, which will lead to a lot more market stability. I'm already seeing my account go up day by day, a little bit by a little bit, which is the first time I've seen that in months. So I think it is absolutely making, like, you know, I have this Monte Morris 2022 playoffs. It goes for $3, but the Top Shot score is 90. And because I know I can't get on that on the marketplace, I'm like, well, I better save this one. You know, there are instances in which, I mean, if there's anything in my collection pretty much that the multiplier is less than 10x, I think it means that's a very opportune moment to sell. You know, depending on what people end up doing, there's a lot of different ways to play your Top Shot score, but that's mine, where I see, you know, it's not just about the profit. Now it's about getting the biggest multiplier that you can. And there are some interesting little bugs and features. For example, if somebody buys a really high cereal, it increases the average sale price so much so that it makes it very it makes it much more intriguing to buy the floor of that moment. For example, I saw that the Carmelo Anthony MGLA3 is now going for, and I have one, by the way, and I'm trying to sell it, which is why I know this, but somebody bought the number 7 cereal on that moment, which made the average sale price go from probably 80 something to 170 something. So there's a nice juicy 2 and change times multiplier, or 20 and change times multiplier on those moments, which is a good deal. It's definitely a good deal based on what I've seen lately. Not financial advice, of course. We never do that on this channel. But compared to some of the other moments, it's one of the better multipliers. So that's really good. You know, and then there are some people who are going to buy, you know, there's something called wish trading, where you spend a lot of money on something that absolutely isn't worth it for reasons unclear. That is now explicitly prohibited. You cannot do that. You will be either warned and, you know, after multiple offenses, banned from the platform if you continue to do that. You have an obligation to buy, apparently, according to Alan Carr, one of the co-creators of Top Shot, at a fair market price. No longer will any of that be looked upon as a sort of subjectivity. You now have an obligation to buy at a reasonable cost. So that makes things interesting. It cleans up a lot of the nonsense we've seen where people are buying Embiid 35Ks for $5,000 when the floor is previously $3 or $4. So, you know, it makes things interesting, but, you know, so far as we've seen, there's no drawback if you want to buy the floor after something like that and take advantage of the average sale price. You know, it could just mean more profits for other collectors. It could just mean more score for other collectors. There are so many different ways. There are now reasons to collect Top Shot score for value, not just opportunities at value. So it's a totally different dynamic. I think it's very exciting on the overall. Obviously, some collectors are feeling the transition, and I feel for them. But overall, I think it's a really, really good thing. I think we're in a really rarefied, awesome space. And with all the things that seem to be coming down the pike, including the Magic Johnson moments, we're in really good shape. We're in really good shape for comic collectors. We're in really good shape for rare collectors, and we're really, you know, now the rare and legendary moments, because they don't sell nearly as much. Those average sale prices just sort of hold a bit more, which means you can get a really good deal. You can buy, you know, if you buy, you know, I have a Devin Booker in my collection I bought for $1,200. Where the Top Shot score is 17 or 18,000, something like that. So, sort of built-in larger leaps of Top Shot score for you to consider on those higher echelons, but certainly there will be deals in that regard in the common tier as well. So that's pretty much it. That's what Top Shot score is. I'm going to be doing a series on all the different aspects of Top Shot score as I see fit. I just wanted to get this one out as a sort of introductory video because I feel like it's been a couple of days. I've had some time to think about it, and it's definitely time for me to put out this content. So we'll be doing that. We'll be doing that in the coming days. So stay tuned. If you want to see that series and not miss any of the content, you could subscribe. You could like the video if you liked the video, and if not, that's totally okay. All right, until the next time, peace.